First, thank you so much for taking time for the interview.
Thank you.
And I've been listening to the upcoming album. It's fantastic. It's really different. It's organic. It's orchestral. It sounds different. So let's just start with with Judas. So
Yeah.
it's obvious it revolves around Judas. And the first question that came to my mind is why what attracted you to Judas, to this idea? When did this journey start of this album? Can you explain a bit?
I'm always fascinated by things that reveal a different side to it, or even more different sides to it, which you actually expect. Let's I mean, one of the things that I learned in life from Rocky Horror Picture Show is don't judge a book by its cover. And this pretty much tells you most of everything, actually everything about Judas, you know? And this is actually like when you look at the album cover, it's the same thing. You look at it and you see these evil eyes, and at first you see an inverted cross, which tells you, oh, this is something bad. I learned from society an inverted cross is something bad. Then you look a little closer and you see it's bent down there, so it actually gives you the shape of a J for Judas. So you go like, okay, there's something more behind it. And the same thing is with Judas. If I call you Judas, the first impression, the first thing is you think, okay, it's an insult, it's something bad. And when you dive into the whole topic and you read all the four gospels, and if you read the forbidden gospel of Judas, and then you go in different kinds of analysis and interpretations, and we work together with a theology professor who gave us like so much material, like from his students and books and whatever, which shed like different lights on the character of Judas, then you finally end up with having this wide, big gray area, this which opens up between Judas the traitor and Judas the savior on the other side. On the other side, and this was highly inspiring. And sound-wise, I'm sure we come to that later, but you also said like it's different, it's organic. Yes, it's all different. We said, hey, it's a seventh record, and we are a band which is known for only one constant, and this constant is change. But how can we, I don't know, put that to the max? Like, how can we newly define ourselves with really a new comeback with our own band's history with a new sound? And this is what we tried here. And for us, we succeeded.
Yeah, definitely. And when did this idea start? Did it already start during Star, or was it like, I don't really think it was a spontaneous idea, but when exactly did you have the seeds of this idea?
The fascination with only the word of Judas started in 2014 after listening to the same called Lady Gaga song.
Yeah, I thought about that actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it was just back then because I'm a big fan of hers, and I listened to the second album. Then this song came out like Judah, I was like, wow, is this song called Judas? And I was like, wow. And I'm a person who is highly attracted by words. Like I can listen to a word and I'm like, this word like is so inspiring that I instantly start to see pictures for a music video, or I hear things in my head just by this word. This is when it started, and then nothing really happened for a whole while. Yes, I used some Judas references in other Lord of Lost songs already, but I didn't really focus on that topic. And then I remember in early 2019, which was like half a year after the release of Thornstar, I was in some kind of little holiday at the Baltic Sea, and sitting there in the hotel room watching the sea, and I had like a pen and paper there, and I was scribbling around, doodling around with it, and then I finally end up with that cross thing that looked like a J, and thought, I don't know why, I just thought about the Judas thing. Maybe because at the same time I've seen some documentaries about Judas
So
and
everything
his
came
like,
together slowly, you know.
yeah, and I've read a Wikipedia article about that Gospel of Judas, blah blah. And then I contacted the guys in the band via WhatsApp and took a picture of that symbol which I just drawn, and said, hey, I think I have something which is super inspiring. I told them some rough ideas, like what I have in mind and what's so fascinating for me about that character. And this is how it all started. 1 year later, we were on tour in Europe, January, February 2020, and me and our guitar player P, we were sitting in the nightliner after each show, reading the Bible, reading the Gospel of Judas, reading these things that we got from the theology professor, and trying to suck in as many of that information to kind of be, let's not say informed, because we didn't try to make a theologically correct album or a pro or contra religion. It's not a religious record. It's neither pro or contra, whatever. It's just inspired by the philosophical character of Judas. But we wanted to like see all the point of views to open up this gray area where we were dwelling on then.
Yeah. Very interesting. So can we, I mean, of course, Judas, this is kind of like a concept album, but is it really a concept album, for example, like chronologically, or
No,
how would you define it?
No, we did not want to do this because I'm a big fan of concept albums. Like you have, let's say, an overall feeling for the visuals, for the music, for the sounds, and also for the topics you are using, and how you how you picturize things with words. But it's not like that you have to listen from start to end to understand something. All songs can stand alone. And on top of that, we never write songs with lyrics that explain you what they mean. It's just like going into a different direction. And I always actually tell the same example. Like, you can write a love song for any kind of topic. Let's say Judas and our last two records. Our 2 records ago, Empyrean was also a concept album, but it was like an album about space, let's say that. So if you write a love song there, you would find a song maybe about the sun and the moon, or like Earth and the moon, or 2 planets, I don't know, which are which belong to each other because of gravity and whatever, but they can never be together, you know? So if I would have written the same song for Thornstar, it would have been a song about the characters of Morgana and Hathor. If you now write the same song for Judas, it can also be a song about brotherhood and friendship and kind of display the connection between Jesus Christ and Judas Iscariot. But if you don't name them, and if you leave it open, then as a listener, you can just see it as a love song and kind of reflect on it yourself. So this is what we're doing. We just give ourselves a general direction and trying to picturize different parts of the story without trying to be that boring that you have to follow that one thing. Because this is something that I don't know, progressive rock or progressive metal bands can do, but it's not how we feel. We like good songs that can just be a good song, and even if you don't listen to the lyrics, it's still a good song, you know? We love these topics, but we do not expect from our audience to actually go with them. You can just listen to the music and say, yeah, cool, you know?
Yeah, there's a catchy element to it.
Because we like catchy songs. It's not it's not like our label or anyone is telling us that. We just like good pop songs, which are just a little harder.
Yeah. I mean, a good song doesn't have to be super long, you know, no Dream Theater or whatever. It can also be a very catchy short song.
We already did that, or we also have our 20-minute song and so on. But the core of Lord of Lost has never been complexity in music. We don't try to be as complex as possible. We just love songs that feel good. We always decide things because of feeling and not because, hey, we need a more complex drum groove because otherwise it wouldn't be true or whatever, you know? We don't care about these things. We want songs that reflect our feelings.
Yeah. I mentioned that it's very organic. It feels different. So they're like the choirs are actually my highlights so far, especially in the first CD. There is something, I don't know, magical, also sinister. So I kind of wonder, like, did you try anything differently this time, recording wise? Like, what was different for you? It could also be one element, something, because something feels different. I mean, it's still on rotation for me, but yeah.
Everything is different. I try to explain as briefly as possible. First of all, if you are a guitar player and write songs for guitar or on guitar, then you easily end up with always using the same kind of metal riffs, like this typical. So this is because these typical amps that you're using for this kind of music with low tuned guitars, they give you that sound and like give you a certain kind of things to play. So we chose to go with, like, I have them here, the very different sounds. These things are called plasma distortion. They work with the xenon plasma tube, and it's a kind of distortion which sounds more like the Jimi Hendrix guitar sound, just more modern. So you can't do da da ga da ga da ga. If you try that, it makes. So you have to use the guitar much wider and much more like as a pad sound. So you have to relearn the instrument to kind of play it. So this is the first thing. Then we said, like, we want everything which is supposed to be a real instrument, we want it real. So we're not going like, okay, we want an organ, let's look for an organ sound in a keyboard. No. Organ means we recorded a real organ in a church. We recorded a real grand piano in a big concert hall. If we want a big reverb, then we opened the doors and put extra microphones in the stairway. We recorded all the drum samples that you hear on top of the regular real drum set. We recorded them ourselves in a huge parking garage. We said we do not want to use libraries from other people. We went to Bulgaria to record real strings. We wanted a choir which consists of real people and not of some things. So whenever you listen to something synthetic on that record, it's a synthetic sound, like electronic stuff. But everything which is supposed to be real was really done real. So this is different. We did it like... This is why you might said organic. So this can be the biggest compliment, because it is that organic. Everything we did could have been done like that in the 70s already.
Yeah. It really feels natural. I mean, I listen to all types of music, but I really pick up like whether it's natural or not. And that's also like, it feels different for me. The essence is still there, but it's something is different, of course, in a good way, definitely. And now it's clearer as well because you recorded everything. And yeah, okay. Yeah, that's perfect. You said you tried everything differently. Was it like, my next question is also a bit in connection to that. Was this like the pandemic change how you actually recorded this album, or how you like did your perspective change with respect to the pandemic, or was
Yes, two things were changed by the pandemic. First, we didn't plan to do a double record, but when the pandemic hit in, like in March, April last year, it was like only 2 or 3 months before we started writing the songs for that album. We were like, okay, all songs are being all shows are being canceled now, so let's use the time wisely. That was the one thing. Then we wanted to have the 7th album something special, something also a challenge for us. And at first we said the challenge would be that we record every instrument in a different country. We wanted to go to Finland, to a house by a lake for songwriting. We wanted to record drums in Mexico City and guitars in St. Petersburg and vocals on Malta and whatever, because we just wanted to go to places that I don't know, bass in Helsinki. We just wanted to go to places which we really like, and make this whole record like an adventurous experience for us. But due to the pandemic, this adventurous experience was kind of killed. But so we were like, okay, what can we do then? And then we said, if we can go to special places that way, then let's find a way to go to special places in another way. And these special places would have been then the church and the place where we recorded the piano and so on. So we kind of found a way to do this adventurous thing without actually leaving our hometown or close to our hometown, except for Bulgaria, because we could travel there for a couple of weeks. And I know a guy that knows all these string musicians, which we could record there and stuff. So, but yeah, this was our workaround for that. Actually, we had to find a way, and we found a way.
Yeah, that's good.
Which means that the plan of like recording an album all over the world is still on. Like whenever we can do that, I really want to do that.
Yeah, that seems like
I mean, not because like if you record drums, for instance, in Mexico City, not that they sound any different there. If you use like the same gear and the same microphones, it's gonna be the same shit. But the feeling does something with you and the band. And most of all, we do this because we love what we do so much. Most of all, we do this for ourselves. And if that's not the best reason to always give you that kind of challenge and adventure, I don't know what the reason would be.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Yeah, you shot the Priest video in Harz, and that's one of my favorite regions in Germany. Actually, I have a very personal connection to that region. I also wanted to ask, like, do you also have like, why did you decide Harz as the region? Do you also have a personal bond with that region, or was it also just like, okay, let's go somewhere and shoot the Priest video?
No, it's super easy. Our drummer lives there, so we just had to leave his house, and we were in that forest. So
that's practical because the nature.
And on the other side, by coincidence, we have found about these two caves where we were shooting.
Yeah, there are beautiful caves.
Yeah, and this was really coincidence because an old friend of mine told me about one of these caves, and then I started researching and found the other cave. And then I looked it up, was like, oh, this is close to where our drummer Nick is living. And I told him, hey, do you have time to check out these caves? So he went to the one cave, which is open for everyone, and then went to the other and was asking. He was like, yeah, it's everything just 5 minutes away from my home place. So he checked with the guys, and he checked with the governor from these cities there if we can shoot and blah, 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 blah. And then we finally had the perfect place to shoot, because when we started thinking about it, I always was picturing caves in my head. We wanted something in these first videos which does not show anything of like the modern world, you know, no cars, no buildings, nothing urban or whatsoever. I wanted to have this more, very rudimentary old world still, and yeah. Oops, I'm sorry. That's my alarm. Telling me we have 5 minutes. Let's do a little more because I came in late. Sorry.
Yeah, it's all good. I don't have a lot of questions. And the Lord of the Lost Plus project, I also wanted to talk about it, the song project.
Yeah.
So it's also crazy. It's a very interesting idea. It's for the song Viva Vendetta. Why that song particularly?
That was really not that easy to decide which song to take, but we listened to the production back then. I started asking friends from other bands like in November last year. It was a time of the production where not all instruments have been recorded, but everything has been recorded as a demo so far, so you could listen to the track. And we had all tracks ready, so I muted all the vocals, all the demo vocals, and just listened to the track instrumentally. And all the other tracks kind of tended to fall more or less into different kinds of genres, like pretty clearly. And this track, because it's somehow heavy, but also has this this swing groove, and it's a song which is not really slow and not really fast. All the time he was kind of in between being up-tempo or low-tempo, and always in between being a more sinister song or even a happy song. So it was so open that I thought this might be the best thing to give it to the other people, because for everyone watching who doesn't know about the idea was like to give people just the instrumental, other artists, without telling them the name of the song, without showing them my vocals, without showing them my lyrics, without telling them the album would be called Judas. So treating it like it was their own instrumental and come up with their own ideas. And this playback of Viva Vendetta was so open that it kind of gave the most opportunities to put whatever on top of it, and I think it really worked.
And how surprised were you by the interpretation of the artist, or how was your reaction?
A lot, more or less, of course, because some things were really like I expected them, and which is not, I'm not trying to value this here. So if someone of my colleagues and friends is watching, I don't mean it in a bad way, no offense. I'm just saying that some things I was like, yeah, okay, I would have expected that on that song, because the song kind of clearly gives you that vibe. So of course you come up with that idea. And some things were really just like, what the fuck? I would have never thought that this could have even worked on that kind of track. It was mind-blowing. And the most mind-blowing thing for me about it was that even the whole genre of the song seems to flip into different kind of directions with whoever is singing on it. Sometimes the whole track feels sinister and hard, and somehow it feels like totally different. It's immense. Like I wanted to do this experiment for like 20 years now, and now I had the chance. It's just amazing. Really, it's amazing.
Yeah, that's really great to hear. I'm really looking forward to it. One last question here before we finish. You worked with many artists, also with the song project. I mean, you're gonna tour with Iron Maiden, hopefully.
Yeah.
Are there any artists? It doesn't have to be a musician. It can be a tattoo artist, illustrator, painter that you want to collaborate with. Like you see this artist's work and you're like, whoa, I have to work with this person. Anyone that comes to your mind, because like you work with so many people, and yeah.
I never had this one hero or just one or two or three people, but there's this one band which kind of made me fall in love with like music as a fan, and this was Roxette.
Yeah.
My first band who I ever was a real fan of was Roxette, and sadly, she died a couple years back, but he's still there, and no lie, I'm writing emails to his management for like, I don't know, 10 years already, asking if I could write a song with him, or if he wants to write a song for my band. Or I do not even have to meet him if he doesn't want to. If he just writes a song for Lord of Lost, I'm fine. But I'd really love to work with Per Gessle once, because he's the person. He's the reason why I started wearing black nail polish in 8th grade in school, you know?
Yeah. Very interesting. Yeah, you also talk about it a lot. That's yeah. All right. I think that's it from my side. We're also up with the time. Any last words that you want to share before we close?
I am very hungry. I'm doing interviews like for 3 hours straight, and now I really feel like I need to
You should eat something. I know that feeling. After a lot of meetings, it's like, I need to eat. All right. Thank you so much, Chris.
Thank you very much.